Hello, welcome to day 116 of trying to become a SOC analyst. We're working through the incident responder alerts. We've got a high severity alert, SOC314, unauthorized access to NTDS.dit file detected. And it's not much more to go into on this one. Let's jump into it and have a look. So I've assigned the alert to myself. We've got it here. So it's incident responder alert on the hostname Paul. We've got the internal 172 IP. Process name is PowerShell. Process path was just the PowerShell. Parent process runtime broker. Command line that launched it was invoke NinjaCopy.ps1. Then the location of the NDTS file, and then an output to temp. The target process command, again, just PowerShell, and the detection reason was detect potential abuse of NDTS util to dump NTDS.dit database in a suspicious location. The device action was allowed. Level 1 note, so it was an escalated ticket. Suspicious PowerShell commands executed on the host Paul, assigned for detailed analysis. So get rid of the cam and jump into it. We have the internal IP, so let's start to load up all our windows. We'll go to basic for the logs. Okay, so it looks like we've got some security event logs and also network traffic logs. And let's load the endpoint as well. All. And I'll just start to launch the VM in case we need it. Select all the curtains. So we already saw from the... Oh, not paying attention. There's another curtain. We already saw from the alert that it's using NinjaCopy. Is that a bag there? That's a bag. All right. So I'll just let that launch. Okay, we saw already in the alert that it's been spawned from NinjaCopy.ps1. So this is where, for me at least, having a good coverage of red team and blue team is helpful. So I already know that from Hack the Box red team boxes that NinjaCopy is a utility that copies a NTDS file, but it copies it directly from the volume. So it sort of bypasses any AV or EDR on the endpoint detecting the copy. So that's why it's useful. So it sort of bypasses that. So that's what we're sort of going to be looking out for. The fact that there won't be a copy sysmon alert or log, I should say. So we're waiting for that to load. Let's look through the logs. So we have a outbound connection, SSL, so HTTPS here. We don't have the host name that it was resolved to, so we might have... That actually looks like a GitHub IP, which would probably fit with the idea that they were grabbing DNS breaks. I'll do. I doubt they'll have a reverse, but let's put it in and see. Okay, they do have a reverse, so that's great. So it is GitHub, so that's Git user. I know that IP well because I have a GitHub pages website. Okay, so we know that they reached out to GitHub, which fits in with the fact that the alert was triggered from the NinjaCopy, and then we've got sysmon. Oh no, we don't have sysmon, we have security log. And it's been script block text Windows so PowerShell. Okay, this is looks like Exfil, invoke web requests, upload, post method, and posting the temp NTDS.dit that they extracted. one. Okay, so that actually might be not them pulling down the GitHub PowerShell, but actually posting the Exfil. So we've got two different GitHub pages. What DNS freak did we look up? We looked up that one. Let's check this other IP that they uploaded to. Is this GitHub too, or is this a... Looks like it's a different range. See if it has a reverse. Oops. Okay. Quick connect. .2. Okay. So I think from experience that Quick Connect, like a Synology NAS, uses that to be able to connect into your NAS remotely, and NAS VM at the front sort of fits in with that as well. So okay, so they exfilled to their maybe potentially their own site. And let's check the other one. So that's the Exfil, and then this must be them grabbing the content. So no, it's just the DNS query. So we haven't seen how they got the script onto the endpoint, but we look like we see how they got the file out. So let's go to the endpoint. We've got the VM, so we can jump in there as well. I'll just open that in a new tab so it's a bit easier. Before we go through the process, let's just see if the terminal logged anything. So PowerShell, make the temp folder. It looks like we don't see the full command there. What do we have here? So that's the web invite. Okay, so that's how they're grabbing it. And then I'm guessing then they run it. And then they run it again to get the proper pass. So path to the NTDS file and then where they're outputting to, and that's the temp folder that they made already. And then this is the upload that we saw. Okay. So before jumping onto the endpoint, let's run the playbook because we have a fairly good idea of what's going on. And run through the playbook, because some of these playbooks have not been as in-depth as I'm expecting. So I don't want to waste too much time playing around on the endpoint if we don't have to eradicate and do all that. So let's just go through the playbook. We've got verify. So we've verified that it looks like it's a true positive. The escalation reason was correct. Review alert details. So we've checked the firewall logs, the event logs. And in terms of defense evasion, well, we know, or I know from red team work that it's going to be defense evasion direct volume access, because that's how it reads the file without flagging any sort of log of a copy. So whether or not it asks us about that's going to be seen. Details of the investigation. So focus on abnormal behavior and what's normal. So I mean, we know this is not normal. Identify potential defense evasion activity. Now, did they do anything like obfuscate the Exfil when they were trying to output it? They just uploaded the file. They didn't even rename it or anything. So, no. Determine what operating system. Oh, well, we know it's going to be Windows. But we would just check here. OS Windows 10. But obviously, because of the file that we're dealing with, we know it's going to be Windows. For Windows, look for abnormal patterns. monitor for activity to bypass. Okay, so I mean, grabbing that script is, we know they're bypassing the security controls and the antivirus. Now, this is always a pretty generic thing that it says to monitor 688 and 7045. We can jump on and do that. I don't think we need to. Let's go to next first and see if it's actually required. So I said I knew this one already. Direct volume access, because that's how this script works. So that's an easy one. But looking at it, we know there was no deobfuscation or decode, no pre-OS. No, so I mean, none of the other ones fit anyway. So okay, direct volume access. During their investigation, use log management to hunt attacker IOCs. So one IOC that we have is this IP that they exfilled to. So if we go to abuse IP and paste that in, it has been flagged as malicious. On our logs, it was 2024. So look at the 2024 log. So it's just recently been marked malicious there. 2024 August. So this time period, this would be seen, and it's been flagged as a malicious IP at that point. So we've got that. So we do have IOCs. We have checked the reputation. But the one thing that we haven't checked is, how are they logged in here? So we've got no log in the network logs of a remote logon or anything like that. So if we jump onto the endpoint, where's my my mouse isn't showing up in the VM. It's working, but it's not visible. Oh, here we go. Got it. So we know that they put it in temp, the Exfil it. I'm just wondering, did they clean up after themselves, or is it still sitting there? So it's still sitting there, both the NinjaCopy and the NTDS. I wanted to open it in Notepad. This script can copy files off an NTS volume by opening the read handle in the entire volume, such as C drive and and passing the NTFS structure. This requires you it's too hard to read in this small, no text wrap. But it is the script that I thought it was. Pause that and read it if you want, actually, instead of me doing it. So we've got those artifacts still there, but what I'm interested in is, how did they get in? We can keep going through the playbook, but surely at some point the next question is going to be about logon. Is it hands-on keyboard? Was it run from a script? Yeah. Now, parent process of the Exfil here, we'll use that one as an example. No, we don't have parent process for that. Was that on the endpoint? Where do we normally, maybe under processes, yeah, it makes sense. Just quickly grab the PowerShell, it should be here somewhere. The parent process, if it's PowerShell or CMD, we know that it was launched and, typed in. If it was something different like Word doc, so the parent process was Word launching everything, then we sort of know it might have come from phishing and it was an automated malware type extract. So here we go, we've got PowerShell, parent process is runtime broker. What command was issued on that one? Okay, who am I? And the NinjaCopy running the command. Let's just do a quick Google. PowerShell with runtime broker as a parent process usually indicates a legitimate action such as launching Windows Power Store app, system settings, or background task managing. While typically harmless, if it spawns unexpected PowerShell scripts or commands, it could indicate a malicious process attempting to hide behind a standard process. If the PowerShell with runtime broker as a parent running unexpected commands, like which it is, it should be investigated for malicious activity. Well, I mean, we know that, but I want to know if that will help us hunt what it came from. Like, is it hands-on? Someone's logged in and remotely opened up PowerShell? That's my thinking here. Let's go back to the endpoint. Oh, I was going to event log. Before I do that, I want the time about 12 o'clock, 12:20 on the 23rd. Okay. For 624 for a successful logon. And 1224. Oh, 12. Okay. Is this our time period? 2324. 2324 it is. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so a remote desktop logon, is it logon 10 or logon 15? Yeah, that's well outside our window. Or maybe not. Okay, target, this is the LetsDefend logon from this IP. There we go. Okay. That's our Exfil IP, isn't it? 5672, 5672 it is. Okay. So we've got the login. Uh, 512. Oh, sorry. Just write that down, the timestamp. 121728. From a malicious IP. again. Okay. Let's defend. And then that's past login. Oops. Sorry, wrong hotkey. Shared resources on a machine over the network. It does not involve an interactive logon at the physical machine or via RDP. So it's going to be more lateral movement. And logon type 7 is an unlock event, which we also saw in the logs. So back down, where was LetsDefend? I'm sure I saw a logon 7 there. And that was from our user as well. Yeah, the 185 IP, okay. And then let's just check the logs for 265 for failed logins. And there's only the one for admin. So that's fine. Okay, so we still don't know how the credentials got leaked. But we have the attackers, like an IOC for their attackers login. We've checked it. It's the same as the Exfil, and we know it's malicious because we've checked that already. So it is suspicious, yes. Determine the scope. Examine the IOCs identified and see if they're on any other devices. So for that, we can simply grab the known malicious IP and check the logs. There's only endpoint coming up there. Yeah, so only our endpoint there. So determine the scope is affect more than one device? No. Should the device be isolated? Yes, because they've got the NTDS file. So we need to contain it. So contain. Sorry, it's all over the shop. Next, lessons learnt. So we sort of know, we semi know the chain because I still am unaware of how their initial login occurred. In fact, speaking of that, let's see if there's any, because there's no network logs for any other connections. It was Paul. Let's see if there's any emails for Paul. It doesn't fit our timeline, so no. What other logs that we have access to is not much, so. All right. So lessons learned. I wouldn't say we have a full scope of the attack chain yet, but we do know that the NinjaCopy was pulled from GitHub into temp. It was ran. It then accessed NTDS via volume copy to bypass any sort of EDR or antivirus security in place. It copied it to temp and then it exfilled it to, it looks like a NAS style direct connect IP, which is one of those services that lets you connect to your endpoint through a router without having to set up port forwarding. But think of it like Dyna DNS in a way. you can just set it to various different IPs. And so the entry's the one bit that I don't know yet. Okay, so we do need to go to the point of just adding the artifacts now, which is a worry because, as I said, I don't have the full story. I mean, I know they logged in from this IP, but we don't know how the credentials got known. So we'll add the IP. We'll add the Exfil. Oops, that was in the security logs, which is going to be here. We could also check if this is flagged. I mean, it might not be known enough to be flagged on virus total, but let's check. Okay, so it has been flagged once. 3 years ago, detected by IPs exploiting the log for J2 XCVE. Okay. So add that as a URL for Exfil. We could add the hash, might be a good option. We could get that from the endpoint because they left the files here. Oh, is it get dash file hash? My mistake. Okay, they normally want the SHA. Sorry, they normally want the MD5, but let's just pretend we did dash algorithm MD5 and that would have given us the MD5. But I think in terms of logging it, let's just put in the SHA quicker. We all know how to get the MD5. NinjaCopy.ps1. Okay. I'll pause the video and write some notes. Okay. Sorry about the delay there. It took a while to write up the notes because when I was writing them up, I was a little concerned about the fact that we only saw the logon 3 and logon 7 in the was it 4624 events. So I looked into Sysmon event 3 and we can see here we have a remote desktop login destination port 3389 from our attacker's IP, but it's coming from destination port is showing 172 AWS IP. But I think that's just the way the LetsDefend network is set up because they're not real boxes. They're all just running sort of on AWS, I imagine. But the important thing is that we're seeing the IP of our attacker, our malicious IP, logging in via port 3389. So it does look like it's a pretty clear-cut case of remote logon running the commands exfilling. So now that we see that, I was then confident to write up the notes. I'll highlight them to make them a little bit more readable. Maybe zoom in. So MITRE attack, we've got remote services, remote desktop protocol, initial access, valid accounts, execution, command scripting, interpreter PowerShell, defense evasion, direct volume access, credential access, OS credential dumping, NTDS, and Exfil over alternate protocols, non-C2 protocol. The what? Attacker from 185 dot, and I'll just leave the rest off. RDP'd directly to Paul 172 dot, via its AWS facing NIC 172. / and then the host name, confirmed by sysmon event ID 3, initiated false, destination port 3389, poll is a dual NIC AWS EC2 instance, visibly internally as 172.16 and externally as 172.31. Logon type 3 and 7 reflect the RDP session authentication. Attacker downloaded invoke-NinjaCopy.ps1. We've got the SHA to C drive/temp, copied NTDS via raw NTFS volume access, bypassing the API level monitoring, then Exfil via PowerShell, invoke web request post to, and we've got that malicious IP port 8000/upload, device action was allowed, endpoint isolated. Now, I just want to explain the dual NIC aspect. It does look like with the logs on the endpoint, we don't have any access to any other machine. It's just Paul. So it does look like, yeah, that's the internet facing IP and the internal IP. So just to clarify that. The when, we've got the timestamp, 12/17, sysmon event 3 confirmed inbound RDP from, we've got the 185 malicious IP to Paul AWS 172.31.30.36 port 3389. Got logon type 3 and 7 on Paul, RDP session authentication. 12:19 p.m. alert triggered on NinjaCopy execution. Post access NTDS copied to C drive temp NTDS, then Exfil. Where hostname Paul, we've got the two IPs, the 172 and the 172.31. Got their attacker's IP, the 185.107.56.72. We've got the stage file, which is the C drive temp NTDS.dit, and the Exfil destination was the same malicious IP/upload. Who? External attacker from the 185 IP, abuse IP, database flagged malicious, access Paul directly via its exposed AWS IP using compromised LetsDefend credentials. Runtime broker exe spawning PowerShell is anomalous, consistent with DCOM abuse post RDP access. Why? Attacker targeted Paul via externally reachable AWS IP, bypassing perimeter controls that monitor the internal network. NinjaCopy used specifically to bypass Windows API hooks and avoid standard NTDS access detection. Exfil NTDS.dit enables full offline domain credential extraction when combined with System Hive. So, long notes, and it doesn't look like it's going to let me log them in. I might have to defang the notes better. I'll pause the video so I don't waste more time. Okay, I had to edit out the MITRE attack mapping, and it seemed to accept it. We'll now close the alert. True positive. Paste in our notes. Just a confirmation. I just edited out the MITRE attack, and it seemed to accept it. And let's see how we went. 111 day streak. Okay, so we got everything correct. The scope was only the isolated PC. It was a true positive. It should be isolated. The ISE reputation check was malicious. ISE analysis was, yes, we did have ISEs. Determine the type of defensive evasion was direct access, direct volume access, sorry. Determine the OS was Windows, and we've got notes. So, all right, that's day 116 of trying to become a SOC analyst. 4 more days, and we unlock the LetsDefend team meeting. Actually, it's 9 more days because my streak's running a bit behind. So that might be interesting. I'll see you on the next one. We'll do another IR. Thanks for watching.